Hello, you beautiful beings of light. We are back for another quarantined episode on this YouTube channel, and we're really feeling this energy of co-creation and collaboration right now. And so we have Mariolita. She's back.
Yay! Thank you for having me on this place that we're stuck at. I love it.
Thank you.
It's an actual, we've chosen this moment.
Yeah, but this video is gonna be much more
Lighthearted.
it feels like, because it's needed right now.
Yeah.
And yet it's also been something that's been a long time coming, because this channel originated as a travel channel, kind of documenting whatever the heck I've been doing around the world. And
Which, don't let her fool you. She's traveled around the world and done a lot of gorgeous work all around and connected deeply and beautifully on her trips. I know that, I've seen it, I've followed it, and I've admired it. Sorry to interrupt, but this was like so needed, you know? A lot of times is that when we're all talking and just, you know, I feel like I'm jumping right into it because, you know, when we talk about all the spiritual things and all the you know, soul fulfillment experiences that we've had, somehow there's like a lot more ease to it. But I think that, you know, like gifting our souls like this lightness and this, you know, fluidity that we create through our travels, and you know, those like beautiful pleasures that we had. I mean, seriously, what happened today is that we were like, oh yeah, you know, let's talk about our rendezvous and friends and have some wine. And then
okay, so we're gonna make this video all about travel, and we're gonna tie in some of our more joyful experiences, some of our spiritual experiences in travel, and also we want to really hone in on I guess something that we both really value about travel is the fact that we're not just traveling to fill our passport with stamps.
Right.
Like, we really have made a conscious decision to travel because it expands us as human beings. It opens us to new perspectives. It really changes us based on the encounters that we have and the people that we touch, and the people that touch us, and the people that we smooch
literally
literally just all of that. So let's see.
I mean, honestly, I think, well, first, to kind of like give a background on us, I think that we kind of started our journey right about the same time, about like 5 years ago. Right. And it was, I think that it all starts with a seed for a bunch of travelers and seeking souls. And it's like you're seeking for something else, you know, something changes within you that you may not necessarily be on this space of like comfort anymore within your comfort. And at least I know from our experience, and I'll speak of mine because, you know, you're going to speak of yours. But for me, it was like wanting something more out of life. Not only, you know, at first I thought it was going to be for others, but then I realized that it was really for myself. You know, like I was working on an industry that, you know, it's like one of the biggest industries on this planet, and I wasn't fulfilled, and I seriously felt like I needed to give and gift my gifts. You know, and I was just like, let me go and volunteer, you know, let me go and do some volunteering work, leaving job offers. You know, I had finished, we were both freelance. We always talked about freedom and how, you know, we never truly, like, I never committed to like an actual like 9-to-5 job or anything like that.
I've never had a 9-to-5.
Right, same. And so, you know, when my last gig ended, I was offered a couple of more, and I truly felt like it was time for me to make a change. And I came to Peru, funny enough, and
We're in Peru.
right, we are in
quarantine day 5.
Day 5, hashtag. But yeah, you know, I thought, I'm like, let me do something good for others, you know, which is like the most skewed, like, and silly way of looking at it, but I didn't know back then. I was.
It's more like, it's not necessarily skewed, it's almost like a default, again, program that exists in some of us of like, I gotta go out and help.
Right, but like the reason why I said that specifically is because I thought that I was gonna go and do things for other people, when in reality I was doing it for myself. I was gaining so much more than I was actually giving, you know. I went and volunteered at a school, an alternative education school for children.
What year was this?
This is 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so 5 years ago. And you know, there was all of this of me being like, okay, you know, I can't be on this anymore. Let me just go there. And then I felt the love, the real hugs, the real smiles of children that had nothing or had so many different problems, and you know, they that wouldn't touch them. You know, they would still come and give you a real hug, and it was the most beautiful thing. And I think that up until that moment, you know, I was married for a few years and I never had children, and you know, like I might have been because like my inner child was like not fully healed, or you know, but like having this interaction every day with them was so beautiful. And that's when I realized that I was like, okay, I'm not doing this for, like, I'm gaining so much more out of this. And it was a beautiful change of perspective.
Right.
Like, and I started.
And embracing that. And not being like, it's wrong that I feel like I'm receiving either more or just as much as I'm giving. Because, yeah, when you start traveling and volunteering, and I also have had my experiences with spending all of my money to get somewhere and go volunteer, and really understanding that you're receiving just as much as you're giving.
Yeah.
There is an exchange that's happening, and although that's not how my travel started, like I didn't set out to go volunteer, like I set out with full selfish reasons, like this is for me.
That's good.
You know, my relationship had ended, my world was feeling very small in California, and I just knew that something inside of me was like, it's time to go. It's time to go, and it's time to go for you, for nobody else. And people will be upset or confused or just, you know, not understand it, like the why would you move away from your home where your life is. But I never let their, you know, fears or concerns or beliefs, I didn't let them skew what my soul was asking of me. So I just set out for selfish reasons.
Which I don't think it's selfish, you know. We always talk about the self as if it was like something bad. I think that you were honoring your true desires, and you were so brave, you know, that there's a lot to say. It takes a lot from a person to actually say, okay, I'm not going to live my life for you. This is what makes me happy. And, you know, you wanted to change your whole perspective on everything. And I think that's something very, very brave. And, you know, we should not diminish this at all, ever. Maybe just to like go forward, because I don't know if this happened to you, but when I started this travel, I still came to like a bit of a comfort zone for me, at least. It was like I came to Peru, you know, I was still like close to my family and whatever.
I was the total opposite.
Right. So I've met travelers, real travelers, that grabbed a backpack and were traveling for months or years, some of them. And it was so funny because they used to like call me Little Miss Princess or something because I had my rolling.
I was gonna say I did not have a backpack.
I didn't
because
have a backpack either.
My first travel,
Yeah.
kind of like the preview to me actually moving away, was that I went to Mexico for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And extended that trip to a month.
Okay.
But even on that trip, I didn't have
an actual
I had a backpack and a roller bag also, and I was also made fun of like rolling
rolling my
luggage in the fucking jungle of Chiapas, like really bitch.
That's
like,
awesome. That's hilarious.
And I was like, I don't know. I had everything I thought I would need for 2 weeks, which ended up being a month. So yeah, I was also a princess.
Yeah, I was for sure, which we are, you know this, but no, seriously, like, but so I got inspired, right? I got inspired by all these travelers, and I'm like, oh my god! And I remember going back. No, I did not buy a backpack yet, but I was still in South America, so I was like, wait, I have friends in Ecuador and Colombia, you know. And I knew of so many of my friends that have done the route of, you know, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia through bus. So I was like, I'm gonna take a bus. I'm gonna do this. But I told my dad, you know, and El Niño was happening, and my dad was like,
El Niño in 2015.
Yeah, El Niño was happening.
Hurricane?
No, this is there's a lot of floods. It's a phenomenon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I remember that.
And it always happens. But my dad was like, "There's no way I'm gonna buy you a ticket to the border of Peru and Ecuador, where my friend was gonna pick me up." And
because he was afraid.
He was scared that I was gonna go in a bus. My father. So Little Miss Princess continues her like rolling trip. And I get there, but by the time I get to Ecuador, I was like, all right, this is the time. I'm gonna buy me a ticket in a bus and I'm gonna go to Colombia from it and whatever. And my friend was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm gonna be adventurous, you know? And again, I ended up buying a ticket and I ended up going to Colombia. And it's actually cheaper to fly than to take the bus. So, you know, I never did it. I think it was like 3 months that I was doing all of this and I never ended up like doing the bus thing or the mochilero thing. But I did meet 2 awesome girls from Switzerland that I started traveling with. And then that feeling, because I went from one city to another with them, and we kind of did the thing, but it was like a preview, you know? So my mochilero experience, my backpacker experience was not quite fully developed up until when I went to Asia, but we'll get to that. Yo soy una aventurera, una madrugada en soledad.
I didn't go the route of, okay, I'm gonna go off and backpack. Like I said, the first real me leaving and trying to have this important, first of all, solo travel experience. Second of all, going to Mexico and going somewhere where I didn't know anything. I wasn't going to visit family, which I have in Mexico. I was going to have my own experience. Very, very spontaneous. Like I just felt like I had to be in Mexico, in the Yucatan for a specific eclipse that was happening. Yeah. And I bought a 2-week ticket, which ended up being too short for me. It was just like everything that was happening, the synchronicities, the flow, the beautiful places I was exposing myself to, and the people I was meeting. It was just clear that 2 weeks was not enough. So I extended to 3 weeks, and then I extended to a month. And the only reason that I left Mexico when I did at that time, because I was almost like gonna be trapped in the jungle purposefully by choice, was that a little bit of Wi-Fi came into my phone, and I got the email that I was accepted as a teacher in Spain.
Oh, that was the time.
It was the time. Wow. That was September. It was even the beginning of October.
So otherwise you would have stayed longer.
Otherwise I would have stayed.
Wow.
Chiapas. And I had this moment of looking at the phone and not understanding if that was like the reality that I still wanted or not, because what I was in that present moment had been so beautiful and expansive and very, very like reconnective. Like it was connecting me to parts of Mexico that are not where my family are from, but I just felt such a deep connection to, which is the Mayan lands.
That actually makes me think of how amazing it is to go to a place. I mean, I did not live here in Peru for 19 years or so. You know, back then it was like 14.
Born here.
I was born here, and then I moved to the States, and like the disconnection that happens is like you don't even mean to, like, when I moved back here, I started feeling and reconnecting like to all of like the sacred wisdom, my ancestry, and the traditions
at the right time.
Right,
also.
exactly.
You were open to it.
Right.
Any specific thing that like comes to mind that you want to share?
Well, yeah, I got my tattoo. I got a chacana, which is like the Marupu Makuntur. It's a
sacred symbol.
Yeah, it's a sacred symbol of the Incas, and it basically talks about the three realms. That is like the world of the ancestors, which is represented by the snake. That's the Amaru. Our world, which is where we act like a puma. That the puma is fearless and he goes from the jungle to the mountains looking for food and just to fulfill its like libido almost. And then how in order to be okay in this life, then we have to be okay with the past. And then in order to ascend, is that we have that's the condor part, and that's the Hanan Pacha. And that is where, the condor almost brings all of your ascensions and your, desires and manifestations and everything, because he's the one that can fly up until that world.
Your prayers too, right?
All of your
takes your prayers to the gods and the god realms, and then brings them back to earth for you, right?
Yeah, and it is a beautiful philosophy, it's a beautiful way of looking at life and connecting. The Incas were so very connected with nature. Like the Apus are the mountains. They're always looking after. That's the male energy. Pachamama is the female, and those dualities. It's so it really connected me in such a gorgeous way that it made my curiosity, like it really triggered it, and then I was just like, I want to see more. At that moment, I had no real agenda per se, but I was seeking, and I was seeking on a spiritual level.
The beauty of flowing and not having your travel so planned that you didn't have room for divine intervention to be like, guess what, you're supposed to meet this person, guess what, you're supposed to go to this sacred place for remembering, because you're saying that things were starting to be stirred in you, this curiosity, but really the way I see it is when I'm traveling and I'm led to a place that is important for me and important for upgrading like who I am, and we've been talking about expansion and this growth that we get from travel. It happens at all levels. It happens on a mental level, it happens on a heart level, on a spiritual level, and on a spiritual level you are remembering things that you know from your ancestors and also from other lifetimes, because we've talked about this. Like travel for us starts like clicking all these things about I've been here before, not in this body, not in this life, but I've been here before. It's not a coincidence. The places that we're led to sometimes are very, very specific and
also
divine.
Like thanking all of the beautiful souls that touch you at those moments. Like each one of them sparked something different and planted a seed. And those human connections, I mean, that became my tribe. Like that became my main like group of friends. it was almost like doing a whole reset of my life up until that moment. You know, I started to see the beauty of how light you become. And not only light in terms of like glowing, you know, but light in terms of like I left all of my possessions behind. You know, I was like, I don't want to carry this because it's actually going to be weight that I don't need when I'm moving, you know. And
you left it all in the US.
I left it all in the US, but I left minimal, very minimal stuff. Like I minimalized my life, and that's like something that I admire so much of ourselves in travelers, that, you know, like that's level of non-attachment that we have to things, to material things. And every time
it's not always easy,
right,
to get to that place,
right,
but at the same time we know that it's necessary, right, for the journey that we've said yes to.
Which minimalism, that documentary is amazing. If you haven't seen it, it's so good because it truly talks to you about how you can have like a beautiful life with minimal things. Every time I would do like a big trip, I remember going back to the US and getting rid of more things. And my philosophy was, if I don't remember it, then I don't truly need it, you know? So I would either gift it or donate it, you know? Let's try like not to create trash, you know?
Exchange it, maybe.
I actually, I'm very, for the business side, I never did it, or I never sold things. I always either gifted it or donated. And I think that's just like the way I've processed my non-attachment to things. But yeah, it is a beautiful thing that I'm like, I don't remember it. Oh, do I really need this? Okay. Then I would question it. Like the most beautiful thing is that you can travel however you want. And you can make your experience whatever it is that you need at that moment, you know? Like I'm sure you agree with me, because there's been different places that have had like completely different energies.
Yeah. I would say that I agree with that, but instead of like you can make, I would say you can align to the experiences that are for you, that your soul is asking of you. So
Thank you for having me on this place that we're stuck at. I love it.
Que la vida es un pequeño soplo de libertad.